He watched her bath in the forest pond, and desire took over. First light. The purple-tinged atmosphere of Pallas shimmered through Tarek's expedition helmet as he carefully navigated the crystalline terrain. 3 weeks into his 6-month research mission, and the xenobiologist had already cataloged 17 previously unknown plant species. The Galactic Research Institute would be pleased, but something about this moon felt undiscovered in ways his reports couldn't capture. Base camp, this is Reeves. I'm exploring the northern quadrant, approximately 6 kilometers from station, he said into his comm. The biometric readings are off the charts here. Copy that, Dr. Reeves. Don't forget Protocol 7 if you encounter any sentience, came the crackled response. Tarek smiled to himself. In 15 years of field research across 17 planets, he had never once encountered intelligent life that hadn't already been documented. The Auroran species that inhabited Pallas were known to be reclusive, living deep within the crystalline forests, rarely seen by humans. As he crested a ridge of translucent stone, his breath caught. Below him lay a pool of liquid unlike any he had documented. Not water, but something that flowed like quicksilver while radiating a soft blue glow. Steam rose from its surface, creating a misty halo in the alien air. But it wasn't the pool that made Tarek freeze in place. It was her. An Auroran woman stood waist-deep in the luminescent liquid, her back to him. Her skin had a pearlescent quality that caught the light of Pallas's twin suns, creating prismatic patterns across her shoulders. Her long hair, the color of twilight, floated on the surface of the pool. Protocol demanded he retreat immediately and report the encounter. Instead, Tarek found himself lowering to a crouch behind a crystal formation, his scientific curiosity mingling with something more primal. She moved with graceful, deliberate motions, cupping the glowing liquid and letting it run down her arms in rivulets that seemed to momentarily become part of her. There was something ritualistic in her movements, something sacred. When she turned, Tarek's heart thundered against his ribs. Her features were delicate yet strong, high cheekbones, lips the color of the distant nebula visible in Pallas's night sky, and eyes that seemed to hold the depth of space itself. Those eyes suddenly locked with his. Tarek scrambled backward, losing his footing on the crystalline ground. He expected alarm, anger, or fear from the Auroran woman. Instead, she tilted her head with curious interest, then raised a hand in what appeared to be greeting. I'm sorry, he managed, though she likely couldn't understand his language. I didn't mean to intrude. To his shock, she smiled and responded in perfect standard. If you were truly sorry, you would have left when you first saw me, researcher. She moved toward the edge of the pool nearest him, seemingly unconcerned with her nudity or his presence. I am Lyra Vesh, and you are very far from your kind, aren't you? Beneath the twin moons, Tarek Reeves, he managed to reply, averting his eyes as Lyra emerged from the pool. When he glanced back, she had wrapped herself in a shimmering fabric that clung to her damp form. You're studying our world, she said, more statement than question. I've watched your kind before with your instruments and sample containers. You've been observing me? Tarek's scientific mind immediately kicked in. The Auroran species is documented as deeply isolationist. How do you speak standard so fluently? Lyra laughed, the sound reminiscent of crystal chimes in the wind. Is that what your records say? Perhaps we simply choose when and with whom to engage. She approached him with curious steps. Some of us find your kind interesting. Tarek remained motionless as she circled him, her fingertips hovering just above his expedition suit. The elders would not approve of this meeting, she admitted, but I've always been drawn to the forbidden. Something in her voice sent a ripple of warmth through Tarek's body. He had come to Pallas for discovery, but not like this. Your research site is visible from our settlement, Lyra continued. I could show you specimens your instruments would never detect. That would be incredibly valuable, Tarek replied, professional interest battling with a growing personal fascination. In the days that followed, Tarek found himself returning to the luminescent pool at sunset. Sometimes Lyra would be waiting. Other times he would sit alone for hours before she would silently appear beside him. Each encounter revealed new layers of Auroran knowledge that filled his research logs, but he found himself omitting the personal details. The way Lyra's fingers brushed against his when accepting a sample container, or how her eyes reflected the twin moons of Pallas when she spoke of her people's connection to the cosmos. During their 5th meeting, as they sat at the pool's edge with their feet immersed in the glowing liquid, Tarek noticed a change in Lyra's demeanor. "Tomorrow brings the celestial alignment," she said quietly, "a time when the barriers between worlds thin." "Is it a significant event in Auroran culture?" Tarek asked, ever the researcher. "It is a time of truth and revelation," Lyra replied, her gaze intense. "Will you meet me at the crystal caverns when the moons cross paths? There are things I wish to show you that cannot be recorded in your scientific logs." The logical part of Tarek's mind warned of protocol violations, of potential career repercussions. But as Lyra's hand tentatively covered his own, those concerns seemed distant and unimportant. "I'll be there," he promised, watching as the twin moons reflected in her otherworldly eyes. Later, alone in his research pod, Tarek stared at his official log entry for the day. The clinical description of Pallas's geological formation seemed hollow, compared to the unwritten discoveries that now occupied his thoughts. For the first time in his career, the most important discoveries might be the ones he couldn't share with the Institute. Resonance, the crystal caverns pulsed with an inner light as Tarek made his way through the narrow entrance. His handheld scanner showed compositions unknown to Earth science, but his focus was elsewhere, searching for Lyra among the glittering formations. She appeared silently behind him, wearing ceremonial attire that accentuated the elegant lines of her form. Around her neck hung a pendant containing liquid similar to the pool where they first met. "You came," she said, a hint of surprise in her voice. "I said I would." Tarek set aside his scientific equipment, a symbolic gesture that wasn't lost on Lyra. "The alignment begins," she whispered, guiding him deeper into the caverns. They entered a chamber where crystals grew from floor to ceiling, creating a natural cathedral. Through an opening above, the twin moons were visible, slowly moving toward perfect alignment. During the alignment, Aurorans can share thoughts and emotions through resonance, Lyra explained, her voice taking on a reverent quality. "With your permission, I would share this experience with you, though no human has ever participated in the resonance." The scientist in Tarek wanted to ask a dozen questions, but something deeper silenced that impulse. "How?" In answer, Lyra stepped closer, removing the pendant and pouring a small amount of the luminescent liquid into her palm. "This connects us to the consciousness of Pallas. If you're willing, it can temporarily connect us to each other." She raised her hand, offering him the shimmering substance. Tarek hesitated only briefly before nodding. Lyra gently traced the liquid across his forehead, then her own before pressing her palm against his chest over his heart. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Tarek gasped as his senses expanded beyond physical limitations. He could feel Lyra's fascination with human resilience, her rebellion against Auroran isolation, and beneath it all, a longing that mirrored his own growing feelings. "This is incredible," he whispered, his own emotions flowing unfiltered through the connection, his wonder at her world, his growing affection, and a deepening desire that had been building since their first meeting. As the moons aligned perfectly overhead, the cavern erupted in a symphony of light and resonant energy. Crystals hummed in harmonic frequencies that seemed to vibrate through Tarek's very being. Within this cosmic moment, the distance between human and Auroran dissolved. Lyra's fingers intertwined with his, and she drew him closer until their foreheads touched. "The alignment reveals truth," she murmured. "What truth do you feel, Tarek Reeves?" His answer came not in words but in action. Tarek closed the remaining distance between them, his lips meeting hers in a kiss that sent ripples through their shared consciousness. Her response was immediate, arms encircling him as the resonance between them intensified every sensation. The kiss deepened as the cavern pulsed around them. Through their connection, Tarek felt Lyra's surprise at the intensity of human passion, while she guided him through the heightened awareness of Auroran intimacy, where physical touch created cascading waves of shared pleasure across their mental bond. As they slowly separated, breathless, a distant rumble shook the cavern. Small crystals fell from above and the ground trembled beneath them. "What's happening?" Tarek asked, still dazed from their connection. Alarm flashed across Lyra's features. "The alignment is creating a gravimetric disturbance. The entrance is collapsing. We're trapped. Crossing boundaries." "Don't worry," Tarek said, studying the fallen crystals blocking their exit. "My team will activate emergency protocols when I don't return to base." Lyra shook her head, the luminescence from her skin casting shadows across her worried face. "The resonance energy disrupts your communication devices. And the caverns run deep beneath the surface. We could be anywhere within the network. Tarek checked his equipment, confirming her assessment. All signals were scrambled. He looked up to find Lyra examining the walls with practiced precision. "There's another way," she said finally, "through the sacred pools, but it's forbidden to outsiders." "Are there any alternatives?" Tarek asked. "None that would reach us in time." Her expression grew solemn. "The pools lead directly to my settlement. If we're discovered there, it would mean exile for me, and I'm not certain what for you." Tarek approached her, gently taking her hands in his. The lingering effects of their resonance connection allowed him to sense her conflict. "I won't let that happen." They ventured deeper into the caverns, the path sloping downward until the air grew humid and warm. Eventually, they entered a vast underground chamber illuminated by pools similar to where they first met, but infinitely more radiant. "The heart pools," Lyra whispered reverently, "the source of all luminescence on Pallas. My people believe they're connected to our life essence." She led him to the edge of the largest pool, its surface rippling with colors Tarek had never seen before. "We must immerse ourselves completely and let the current carry us. The passage is narrow. We'll need to remove our outer garments." Tarek hesitated only momentarily before removing his expedition suit. Lyra similarly shed her ceremonial attire until both stood vulnerable before each other. "You're beautiful," he said simply, allowing himself to fully appreciate her form without scientific objectivity. Lyra's skin pulsed with heightened luminescence. A reaction he now understood signified emotional intensity among Aurorans. "As are you," she replied, eyes tracing the contours of his body with undisguised interest. They waded into the pool together, the liquid enveloping them in warmth and light. The resonance between them reawakened, though less overwhelming than during the alignment, creating a constant awareness of each other's emotions. "Stay close," Lyra instructed as they swam toward the center. "The current grows strong near the passage." As they reached the middle, Tarek felt the pull of the underwater channel. Lyra took his hand, guiding him downward. The luminescent liquid seemed to bend around them, allowing them to breathe normally despite being submerged. They entered a narrow passage, their bodies pressed close as they navigated the twisting channel. Every point of contact between them sent waves of pleasure through their shared awareness. When they emerged into a smaller pool, the intensity of their connection had grown overwhelming. "Tarek," Lyra whispered as they surfaced, her voice carrying both desire and uncertainty. The pools heightened the resonance effect. "What you're feeling is real," he finished, drawing her against him. "Resonance or not, what I feel for you began the moment I saw you." Their kiss was electric, charged with the energy of the sacred pools. Lyra guided them to a smooth crystal formation at the pool's edge, where they came together in a union that transcended physical connection. Through their resonance, each sensation was shared and amplified, Tarek experiencing the unique pleasure patterns of Auroran physiology while Lyra discovered the intensity of human passion. Their movements created ripples of luminescent energy across the pool's surface, casting undulating patterns of light throughout the chamber. Neither noticed the approaching footsteps until it was too late. "Lyra Vesh," came a stern voice from the chamber entrance. "You have brought an outsider to the heart pools." Tarek looked up to see 3 tall Aurorans regarding them with expressions of shock and displeasure. The resonance connection between him and Lyra flared with her sudden fear. "Elder Kavan," Lyra acknowledged, hastily retrieving her garments. "I can explain." The elder's gaze fell upon Tarek with cold assessment. "I believe you already have through your actions." Harmonic convergence. The judgment chamber of the Auroran settlement gleamed with crystalline architecture, unlike anything in Tarek's research records. He stood beside Lyra before a semicircle of 7 elders, their luminescence dimmed in formal solemnity. "The law is absolute," Elder Cavan stated. "Outsiders are forbidden from the heart pools. The punishment is severance and exile." "Severance?" Tarek whispered to Lyra. "Breaking the resonance connection to Pallas," she explained quietly, fear evident in her voice. "It would diminish my life force significantly." Tarek stepped forward. "The fault is entirely mine. I was trapped in the caverns and would have died without Lyra's intervention." "Noble but irrelevant," another elder responded. "The sanctity of the pools." "With respect," Tarek interrupted, drawing on his scientific background. I've studied the molecular composition of the luminescent substance in the pools. Its properties suggest a regenerative capacity that increases with diverse energy patterns. The elders exchanged glances, clearly surprised by his knowledge. During our connection, Tarek continued carefully, the luminescence intensified beyond normal parameters. I believe the resonance between different species actually strengthens the pools rather than defiling them. Elder Cavan's eyes narrowed. You claim to understand our sacred pools better than those who have guarded them for millennia? Not better, Tarek clarified. Differently. Science and spirituality can observe the same truth from different perspectives. A murmur spread through the chamber. Lyra stepped forward, her hand finding Tarek's. The first teaching of the pools is that all energy seeks harmony, she said. What Tarek and I experienced was the purest form of that principle. Our differences created a new resonance pattern, one that could expand our understanding. The youngest elder leaned forward. The readings from the heart chamber during the alignment were unprecedented. The pools are more vibrant than they've been in generations. Because of their connection, another elder realized. A tense silence filled the chamber, as the elders communed silently through their own resonance. Finally, Elder Cavan addressed them again. Tarek Reeves, your research mission ends in 3 days. You will return to your people as scheduled. Tarek felt Lyra's hand tighten around his. However, Cavan continued, we propose a new understanding between Aurorans and the Galactic Research Institute. A formal exchange of knowledge with appropriate boundaries. Lyra will serve as our first ambassador. Relief flooded through their resonance connection, tinged with something more complex. As the elders dispersed, Tarek and Lyra found themselves alone in the chamber. Ambassador, Tarek said, smiling. It suits you. I never sought such a role, Lyra admitted. I only sought to understand you. Tarek traced the contours of her face with gentle fingers. 3 days isn't nearly enough time. For what we've started. No, she agreed. But perhaps it's enough to begin something that doesn't need to end. Their final days on Pallas passed in a blur of official documentation and stolen moments of intimacy. On Tarek's last evening, they returned to the luminescent pool where they first met. The Institute has approved my request to lead the exchange program, Tarek said as they sat at the water's edge. The twin moons reflected perfectly on its surface. I'll be returning in 6 weeks. Lyra's luminescence brightened with joy. The elders believe our connection may be the first of many bridges between our peoples. And what do you believe? Tarek asked, drawing her close. I believe some discoveries transcend science and tradition, she answered, her lips finding his as the luminescent water rippled around them. Some harmonies once found continue to resonate across any distance. As Pallas's twin moons reached their zenith, the pool beneath them pulsed with heightened energy, a visible manifestation of a connection that had forever altered 2 worlds. In the space between stars, in the whispered promises between different species, a new form of resonance had been discovered, one that neither the rigors of science nor the traditions of ancient customs could fully explain, but both could celebrate. Tarek and Lyra remained wrapped in each other's embrace, pioneers of a harmony that would echo across the cosmos, proving that the most profound discoveries often begin with a single, unexpected moment of connection.